Milo, thank you for being here. Let's get into it. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me what makes you tick.
Oh, Jay, thanks for having me on. First of all, appreciate it. Um, a lot of things make me tick the wrong way or the right way. Would I honestly am very passionate about. I know it's gonna sound cheesy, but like growing and then basically pushing for the things that just I believe will lead to a betterment of a certain sector. I know it's cheesy, but legitimately, I get I get goosebumps when I see that actually I'm able to influence others, obviously, and help them get to where I believe they should be going in terms of like maybe employee or software or moving company. It doesn't really matter, but I genuinely feel that way. I wasn't feeling like this all the time in the past, but that's what takes me off right now, though.
Right. Now, off camera, you said that you were a professional soccer player. Um,
Correct.
and so now you're doing software, which how does that transition happen? How do you go from professional soccer player to software developer?
Oh my God. So it's, I'll try to give you a TLDR version. Uh, uh, Born and raised in Belgrade, Serbia, ended up in college in the United States. I went on a full ride to Virginia, played football there. I used to be in a national team for Serbia, played at Red Star Belgrade. Then after my collegiate career was over, right, I decided I want to be Messi. That didn't. This guy you can see on the wall.
Yeah,
This guy,
I'm familiar with Messi.
yeah, this guy. But obviously didn't pan out. I did play professionally in Europe for 8 9 years. Played in Serbia, played a little bit here and there, top level. Then after that, I ended up going to diplomacy somehow. So I used to sell NATO to Serbians type of thing. So I was pushing for us to join NATO after everything. So that was not an easy sell. And after that, I ended up at a startup that was called Crater at that time, 2016.
Mhm.
And now the company's name has changed to Shift Moving. But I was there for like 6 years. That's how I ended up in the industry outside of me, like going on trucks from college to earn something in a break to earn some money. But that's how I ended up actually in the industry, and I just fell in love with it. And it got the same passion for me when I used to play professionally. So I enjoy like selling, talking to movers, talking to people who are moving. So that's how I stayed within the industry after I left the previous company like a year and a half ago.
Okay. Now, I get that, but how did you get into? I get you were doing sales and everything, but what? I mean, it doesn't seem like you had the skill set to develop software.
I
So
still don't, sadly. I still don't, sadly.
that's not
I
a
still,
sad thing. I mean, if you're hiring people to do things, that's fine. But
I
is
am.
that what happened? You saw a demand and said, "Hey, I can do that."
Yeah, well, yes. So this is how it happened. Since I was running the previous company I was at, I grew the sales and operations team to just around 80, 90 people or above that reported up to me. I was in charge of all the revenue in the company, right? And managing the entire process from a lead coming in to booking the job and job completion was so cumbersome, and we didn't find a proper solution at that time. So as I was doing, it's like has to be a better way to deal with all this nonsense. So I started slowly building the idea in mind of what I would love to have if I were to run a moving company. So I started slowly building it based on what I saw wasn't working for me while I was leading a very significant team and driving a bunch of revenue through booking moves and virtual surveys. So that's how I kind of got the idea. And then a year and a half ago when I left, then I started building this thing based on what I thought was the need. Plus, I had a bunch of conversations with people who own moving companies to give me feedback on what they would like and what they would change, and the whole beta that we've had was revolving around feedback and tweaking things that moving companies would enjoy having, actually. So that's how I kind of ended up staying here and developing software.
And how long is Drive Sales, the software and everything? How long has that been a going concern that you've actually selling it and making some money and stuff? How long is how old? Basically, how old is Drive Sales?
So officially, we're old, a year and a half. So we're building a website, building everything out, building a product out, pushing the beta out. So a year and a half approximately. The idea has been in my mind for longer than that, obviously, but actually working on it, it's since I left the previous company, that's when I actually fully committed to building something from ground up, to be able to showcase it to moving companies to use.
Okay. Now, you saw my report about the 26 different CRMs, and since that time, I've expanded it to nearly 50 different companies all across the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's 50 different companies nearly 50 different companies I know about all across the country. However, you were inside that first report. The next update obviously I will make a new update here, and I will include all of those. But initially, I didn't really see all your features on thing. I mean, your website's a really good thing. I saw the pictures that you posted of your different screenshots, which was really nice, and I like the look of them. But tell us a little bit about what your company, what features it has, and why that is a benefit to me if I'm a new guy or even an established mover. What is it that you offer that all the other ones aren't offering?
So, couple of things I would say right off the bat. So one of the main things that I heard is integrated phone systems, texting within the tool. So we have everything integrated within the software, so you don't have to buy any of the other VoIPs like Ring Central or anything like that. So you have to do none of that stuff. Another thing that we do have integrated within the software is virtual surveys. If your team performs virtuals, perfect, you can use it through the system, or we can also perform virtuals on your behalf. So we have that as a service. Additional thing, speaking of services, we are also able to become a sales rep for you, booking moves with your leads, all that stuff. But to tie that all back to the CRM piece, I've looked at what I would want to have managing a lot of leads. So you can completely tailor your sales workflow how you seem fit based on the actions that you design to take to make sure that it's a successful transition from a new lead to a booked move. You can completely automate your flow through that piece. From new lead coming in, automatic text goes out, automatic email goes out. You can put tasks for all of these people in different varying stages of your sales process on your calendar, call them, quote presentation, all of that stuff. And this also triggers automatic movements through your sales process to be able to see it. Then outside of that, you're also able to see your revenue forecast, and you'll see how your sales team performs follow-ups and how effectively they are. And the biggest thing that I had a pet peeve in my past was reporting side of this. You're completely able to, every data point that lives in the CRM, you're actually able to report on it and build reports off of it. I'll give you an example. You're able, how deep this reporting goes. You're able to know how your lead source X performs based off of the zip codes when you purchase those leads. You're able to see your lead to booking ratios, quote to booking ratios, average different touch points with the booked moves or lost moves. You're able to see the call durations, all of that stuff. And you're able to compare offices week over week, month over month, to see the trends in your company, so you know when and where to focus your strengths, so you don't waste money on leads not performing to what you think they are performing to. So those are just some of the things that we're able to do a little bit differently than everybody else. And this is just the start of what we're looking to build.
Good. Now, what about, there's two different kind of CRMs too that a lot of the CRM systems don't have. And I don't know if you have them or not. But if not, are you in development? And those two CRMs is a human resources or hiring type CRM, and claims, damage claims, and those that kind of CRM. Do you have those capabilities yet? Or if you do, if you don't, are you in development, or is that something in the timeline?
That's in the roadmap. It's not being developed this second. There's a way that you can organize your complete operation within the CRM from post booking until job completion or claim ending. So there's a way for you to track where each customer sits and organize your tasks based off of where your customers sit in the process of new lead until move completed or claim completed, whatever the thing may be, right? So you're able to easily track all of that at the moment, even within the CRM.
Yeah, because I think there's only one other CM that I specifically know about that has a CRM, a system basically in their overall system, for damage claims or people, because you do the move a day or two later. Hey, such and such was damaged. No problem. Here's a link, or go to your dashboard and click file a claim, and it'll take you to filling out the paperwork and upload picture uploads and all that good stuff. I would really, if you don't have that, I would really love to see that in your CRM, because that, to me, especially for a new mover or a small mover, I don't have time to be on the phone with you. And right now, in my past, nobody had it back in the day when I had my moving business. So you had to do it all over the phone or via email and so on and so forth. And it's just a hassle.
And let me just piggyback off of my previous comment. And I like where this leads, because the AI piece that I have not mentioned so far within our software, you're able to tailor text message responses to all of your customers based on the needs. So basically, you can create a workflow where the system itself responds through text messages to your customers with any questions about backing, claims, crating, crew arrival times, box count, literally whatever. Do you bring like blankets or all that stuff? So the system itself can deal with all of that stuff. So that way you're actually able to remove the burden. If you're a small company, you don't want to deal with none of that nonsense, you can say, hey, text this number, and if there's an answer that the AI is not able to perform basically to your desire, it teaches itself to be better at responding to all of this. So that's also another thing that we do differently than other softwares, but it also like piggybacks off of your comment around claims and dealing with customers.
Nice. I like that. Let's talk more about AI here in a moment. But what about human resources? Because human resources is basically just another marketing avenue. If you're trying to hire, you got to constantly be hiring. You can't rest on your laurels, especially if you want to build and scale your business. You got to constantly be hiring. Was there a way to do that inside? So if I have like a something on my website, I could have them go out and fill out a pre-application and stuff like that, and then it goes into the system like a lead, and then I could blah 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 and all that.
At the moment, not effectively. To be very, very transparent, not effectively. Okay. You can gimmick it around, but I think it can be easily solved without living in the software, my opinion. But at the moment, we do not have that functionality as of yet.
Right. That would be another feature, personally, for me, if I had that. The more I can automate, the better. And the more that a CRM can create that for me, the better. It's like you said, there's always a workaround. I don't necessarily have to have it, but it would be a great thing. If I'm going to put up and say, hey, I'm looking for people, I'd rather not have to rely on, going to Google to do that, or some other, HubSpot or some janky,
Whatever
generic,
else.
you know what I mean? I would like
Yeah.
to give them some sort of thing. Plus, I'd like to be able to have within my system eventually have training programs that my crews can do, so that they, which adds into the payroll and all that good stuff. I mean, I would really like to automate my entire business. And now you're only a year and a half, so I forgive you for not having that. But next year you better have that.
Yeah, I'll be in a world of trouble if I don't. I'll be in a world of trouble. But we're developing very quickly, if I might say so. So we are, as people talk to me and people that work with me, they know that I can be rather relentless, so to speak, not to use any other term, in
Mm-hmm.
asking for feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And until I get feedback, because I'm one of those people, they haven't said anything, I don't think everything's fine
Mm-hmm.
until I get an answer in terms of, what can we do to improve? Is
Mm-hmm.
there is there something that you don't like? Is there something from a customer service perspective that we can improve upon? I keep asking everybody that works with me to be,
Mm-hmm.
so that way we can make sure that we are delivering what people are expecting and wanting from us, really. So if you end up working with me, when I say you, I mean anybody who watches this, you'll end up getting my questions about what you think about us.
That's great. So that you're open to suggestions and things, because like some CRMs, they have this timeline that they're going to add such and such a feature, and then if they don't hit that timeline, they just knock it back, and and they make a lot of promises about features they're going to bring in. And then there's other CRMs that go, well, you got to vote on a certain feature for us to develop. I see the merits of both aspects, but I also see, look, if you're not constantly creating something bigger and better, then you're really, if you're not growing, if you're growing, you're dying. And you also have to make it so that it works and it's still the user experience and the user interface is all really good. Because let's face it, movers are not known for their high capacity at electronics. They know how to TikTok, but ask them to do to do a spreadsheet and they go bonkers, right? So the user interface has to be so good that it's stupid if you did something wrong, right? And
So yeah, I so based off what you've seen, that I've shown you glimpses of what we are looking to
right.
build,
Mm-hmm.
would you push us into the user experience is quality or no?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, I see there are things that need to be a little bit of improved, some tweaks. I'd like to see, like I said, some of the features we've discussed. I mean, that's me personally, and I'm speaking from my bias, but as someone who's brand new, I definitely think you could easily use it right out of the gate, turnkey. The things we didn't really discuss is your customer service. I have heard a couple of people say some nice things about you, like Marcus from the AI group said some good things about you, and I think
They're lying.
They're lying. Probably are. They probably are. But so you're still new, so your user. I don't know how your customer service is, but I'm assuming based on our conversation that you're pretty good at it, because I think you got the mentality of what we do. Other than that, I think I based when I reviewed you and the 26 other people that I reviewed you not having seen your product, only going based off what I heard and what I saw on your website. So it was a lower score only because I didn't know. Now that I've seen it, I've seen a little bit of a demonstration, some of the highlights. I mean, I obviously didn't do a thorough demo with you, but I like what I look. I love how it looks. I love how that it flows. It seems intuitive. Of course, that also comes with, no CRM is going to be perfect, and it's not going to fit every single thing that you want it to. So you got to have to work within the CRM's parameters until a new feature is. So there is going to be some training. There is going to be a learning curve. And I'm not saying that for your benefit. I'm saying it for the viewer's benefit, So don't go into it going, oh, it's supposed to be right out of the box. No, you're going to need a little training, a little bit of hand holding, a little bit of a setup. But it looks like the setup is pretty much right there, good to go, based on what I saw, and based on averages too. Would I be correct in that assertion?
You'll be very correct in the assertion, and I enjoy holding hands. So that way, with anybody that is looking to jump on board or give us a shot, right? I would be there with them at the beginning, start to finish, to make sure that they are successful. Because I don't want people thinking, "Oh my God, what did I do? Why did I switch softwares or whatever else?" Because switching CRM is a pain, as we all know. So I would biasly, obviously, I would say it's fairly easy to get started. If there are any questions or concerns with anybody that I've worked with, I've never had, that sounds very like out there, but I barely get any complaints when it comes to customer service, if any. Let's put it that way. Response time, or making sure that we listen to people. The software that you've seen actually is based off of feedback and what movers told me. And there's no voting mechanism. There's nothing like that. I just, based on what people tell me, I pick what will benefit the moving companies the most in the shortest amount of time. So that way they actually stay within the software. So
okay, yeah, okay, good. So one thing I want to piggyback on a little bit here to backtrack on the user experience. How's the training? Do you have a training course? Like, you got a bunch of videos that they can see? Okay, when you do this, here's how, you know what I mean? Like little 2, 3, 4, 5 minute videos that teaches them every little aspect. Do you got anything like that available, or is that something that you're planning for down the road?
We're planning for that to be incorporated for down the road. Right now, it's a bunch of hand holding. Plus, we have built a help desk manual. Basically, this is what it does. This is where you should go. But other than that, I would be the one outside of the manual that we would send out to you for usage, for any specific questions, whatever. I would hope that it's fairly easy with that manual to be able to start booking moves through the system. And I also have team members that are able to jump in on a video call, and help you with the setup, depending on if whatever the need actually is. If it's something with inventory, if it's something with the pricing matrix, if it's with the tariff source, anywhere in the line, we can have different team members jump in and help out, depending on availability.
Excellent. Now, you said you were in Serbia, right? Yeah. Which is awesome. Now, if I have a question, right, or I'm having a problem with something, and you're in Serbia, how are you going to respond to my thing within a timely manner? Because, if I got a question, to me, it's a 5-alarm fire going on here. To you, it might be, just another Tuesday. But for me, that's a 5-alarm fire. I want to be able to talk to somebody right now. I don't want to have to wait 8 hours or 10 hours before you guys wake up to be able to get whatever problem is solved or the question answered. I want thing. How are you able to handle that?
That's a very fair point. So how about you call me or text me anytime, whenever you feel like it, or a holiday or non-holiday, me or anybody else, and see if we respond. That would be my first answer. I hope that it doesn't come to the five bells ringing all the place. But generally, we work US hours anyways. Okay. So we all work US hours anyways. So we start our day later. So I get talking to customers, let's say, I don't know, from like 6 a.m. Eastern.
Mhm.
No one's gonna call me generally at 6 a.m. Eastern, but some people do. It's not an issue because I'm up anyways, and
Mhm.
I'm a very nocturnal person, sadly. So I end up going to bed like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning here, and then I wake up at 7. I know that sounds super unsustainable, but I've been doing it for 6, 7 years now. Have kids, they wake me up at 7. They want to hang out before they go to school or whatever. They wake me up, jump on my bed, so there's no chance I'm not up. And there's a very short window when I don't pick up the phone. So from that perspective, we've never had any. No, we literally never had any problems answering instantly when it comes to super important questions for moving companies, because we always have someone that is alert and that is sort of keeping watch, so to speak,
Mhm.
throughout the
Excellent.
day and night.
Excellent. That's a great answer, because let's face it, most of the movers you're going to deal with are probably here in the States or Canada, and
Mm-hmm.
we're a world away. You know what I mean? So that would make me feel a lot safer. Um, Now I'm assuming your development team is also overseas. Yes.
Correct. Everybody,
Right.
everybody is on from this side of the pond. Correct.
Right. So again, if there's something like you had a catastrophic failure, is your development team on USA hours?
My development, if there's a catastrophic failure, that means the dev team has catastrophically failed, and then
Mhm.
that means that they won't sleep until that is fixed. That's just the rules of engagement. It's just rules of engagement. While you're sleeping, this has to be fixed.
Mhm.
And for whatever that may be, outage in servers, outage in whatever. Um, I can't think of stuff right now, but we will be instantly pushing to resolve that as literally as soon as possible. As soon as I figure out something, we start working on it right away and drop everything else until it's fixed.
Right. Now, we spoke off camera here, and you said you
Mm-hmm.
are on Amazon Web Service, AWS.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a
Mm-hmm.
very, very well. First of all, their downtime rate is minuscule. It's like an accounting,
Mm-hmm.
error or thing. It's no big deal. Their uptime is like 99.99998 or something like that. So
Correct.
because you're on AWS, the the likelihood of it going down catastrophically is slim to none, right?
Correct. That's correct. We are on AWS when it comes to storage of data, and it's all based off of the privacy and security guidelines that were depending on the state laws and GDPR and all that stuff. So the servers are located where the leads are and all that good stuff. So
Right. Now, also there's backups happening. So
correct.
if there is a thing and data's lost, you're not going to lose it all. You might lose maybe a couple of leads here and there, but for the most part, you're not going to
I don't
lose your
think
entire
yeah.
database.
I don't necessarily think there is reason to worry right now in terms of data loss or anything like that. If Amazon goes down, not just us, a bunch of other companies will go down. So it will be completely different in terms of AWS. And there will be downtime, but there doesn't mean that we won't be switching to one of the other different cloud providers, shortly. So I wouldn't even entertain having that as a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what happened tomorrow, though? But I'm just saying, at this particular time, I am fairly confident in the uptime and everything that goes with it.
Very good. That's amazing. Now, you mentioned earlier in our conversation here that one of your unique selling positions was that everything's in house, like your email
Mm-hmm.
autoresponder, your text message, your virtual estimates. So you're saying I don't have to go and get Mailchimp. I don't have to get Twilio. I don't have to use some other virtual service like Live Switch or something. It's all incorporated in house in your CRM. Yes.
Jay, that is 100% a resounding yes. everything is built. You don't have to do phone systems. You don't have to do mailing systems. So what we're looking to do is shortly is syncing. If you're using Outlook or Gmail, shortly we'll have sync. So that way, anything that you write in your Outlook will be synced with the CRM as well, and going both ways. Everything that you do in your CRM will be reflected in Outlook or Gmail. So that's
Okay.
also in the works. So from that perspective, our goal is not to have any additional setups needed other than us to get a moving company going, other than having or renting a truck and 2 or 3 guys doing the jobs, because we can also sell moves on your behalf with a bunch of success, though, I might add.
Not to brag, right?
Not to brag, just not to brag, very humbly, I'll state. And the thing is, I have something to back it up, though. So,
Hey, if you, I'm the guy who say, if you can back it up, it's not a brag. It's not a
yeah,
brag. And
I'll tell you this.
I'm the first person to say, sing your praises, right? Because you got to pat your own back because nobody else is going to do it for you. So,
Yes, sometimes I
and
do
as
it,
a
sometimes I
business
don't.
person, you gotta, hey, we can do it. I like when people are emphatic and straightforward, and they've got a
Yeah,
straight spine.
and the
I
thing
don't
is,
like these
with
guys
us,
are
yeah.
oily when they're doing it.
No,
That's amazing.
I'll tell you this. Let me just backtrack on this. So some of the success that I can back with at the previous company I was in, the last 2 years I was there, we booked around $35 million worth of moving services around the world, not just US, Canada, international, local, long distance, doesn't really matter. So with that playbook that I've built there, I've moved that playbook to my company, improved it to be able to deal with any type of lead and be successful and bring money in for moving companies. Now you might ask me, oh, what's your conversion rate on X leads? And if anybody tells you, oh, my conversion rate is always this, that's not true. It depends on the lead source, depends on your location, depends on your competition, depends on your company. Again, depends on the sales rep that's doing the work for you as well. There's a bunch of factors. So in some areas we see, let's say, I'm just giving some numbers here. In some areas we see conversion rates on bought leads be higher, and then in some areas we see them very low. And then based off of the information that we have, we push that information over to the moving company so they can make a decision if it's us or a lead provider, but it's generally not. Generally, it hasn't been us that has been the problem with booking moves, because we have all the call recordings, texts, quality of the phone calls, everything that we do and say is based off of the scripting that we have devised, plus in agreement that this is the scripting that this moving company is okay with, and they would also give input to us what they would like to add, the bells and whistles to that script, to make sure that we are representing them effectively to the customers.
Nice. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm just basically trying to ask any questions that somebody would have about your service here. Um, so let's go. Now, when I get a lead, I have my lead magnet out there, whatever my lead magnet is. Maybe it's a Facebook ad or what have you. Now, you talked to me about some AI. You could set up. You can have AI set up for Facebook Messenger to automatically like to take somebody through a text message form, correct?
Yeah,
Or
correct.
yeah.
Correct.
All right, good. And what about actually capturing a lead on my website? So do you have a form that I can embed in my website? Is it a WordPress plugin? How is that handled?
Yeah, we call it a widget. So for
Yeah,
WordPress
okay.
websites or whatever, we will give you a code basically that you can plug in into your website, and then all the leads will be fed into the system. And if there's any tailoring that needs to be done based off of the look and the feel of your website and what the company wants, we're able
Mhm.
to tweak it a little bit to make sure it's effective and that we actually capture leads. So it's not like a 7-step form before a lead gets to the system. So it's a little bit of a something that we can work on with moving companies to tailor to their needs, actually.
Right. Now, I'm a big follower and believer and fan of a guy called Alex Hormozy. Have you heard of him?
I have. I
He's a
actually,
countryman of yours.
Yeah,
Well, his parents are anyway.
his parents are, his parents are close, and the thing is with him and how he did the gym business,
Mm-hmm.
and now he launched the new book a couple of months ago, if I'm
Yep,
not mistaken.
$100 million leads. Yep,
Yeah, and there was $100 million offer
that
previously,
was his
whatever. But
previous
yeah,
book. Yep.
previous book. Yeah, I've read the stuff. I haven't read the new book. I read the previous book,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. So tell me what you like about him specifically.
Well, the thing I'm a big believer of, and hang on, I want to show you something.
All right.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm a big believer of having lead magnets, right? And I'm actually, you're I think the second or third person I've told, but starting at the beginning of the year, I'm going to be doing a challenge where I'm going to start a moving company for $100 moving company startup, and I'm going to show people step by step. I'm going to vlog it. I'm going to go show my successes, my failures, my experiments, everything of how I'm going to operate this business. So it's never been done. No one's ever done it, and I think it's going to be a great benefit for my website, my YouTube channel, rather, right? But I'm a big believer of lead magnets. I've actually written 2 books, right? And they're physical books. You can buy them on Amazon, right? I literally wrote the book on it, right? So I'm going to offer these books as lead magnets, right? Very similar to what Alex Hormozy did. I'm going to offer free downloads, right?
Nice.
So, and I'm going to follow his book formula, so they can order the book free of charge, only shipping and handling, and I'm gonna test this out. I'm gonna test out this book, and then I'm gonna test out this book, and we're gonna see which one pulls better. I'm also got some checklists and all that other stuff that I'm going to be doing. So, and then I'm going to be running leads to that from Facebook and YouTube and from Google and PPC stuff, and basically follow Hormozy's formula for collecting leads. And I think that's also going to give me my unique selling position, right? What other moving company has literally written a physical book?
Not many.
Yeah.
Not many. And I
Yes.
love that you've written the book. 2 books, actually, not a book. 2
Right.
books.
I'm actually in the middle of a third, but
Really?
yeah. So I would like, if I'm going to obviously have a landing page, for a landing page for each book and so on and so forth. And I want to be able to take, when they go, they're going to give me their name and their email address, right? And then that's just to get started. Then it's going to get their address, right? So I'll have their address. I'll have their credit card, and they're going to pay me for shipping and handling, which will be cheap. It'll be like $5-7 for shipping and handling, something affordable. And I'll send them the book, right? And I think this is actually going to set me apart from everybody who just sends postcards. But I want to be able to take that lead and put that in my autoresponder. Would that be something you could accommodate?
Yes. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can set you up, and I will be willing to help you build to start with $100 moving company, and see if we're able to help and get you to a couple of $100,000 in revenue as that grows.
Well, maybe you'll sponsor the series. Who knows?
I hope so. Who knows? Let's talk about that offline. I'm keen to figure that thing out.
All right. So, very good. Yeah, we will. We'll talk off camera about that. But I'm just looking at, ways that we can collect things. So when the lead comes in, we could collect that lead, and that can go into our CRM autoresponder via text and emails and all that good stuff.
Correct.
Okay. Now, when a lead comes in, let's say a lead comes in and the autoresponder, how many can I set a trigger so that, like, if a lead comes in, I want to talk to them like 3-4 times that day if I don't get an immediate response. Is that
You
something we
can.
could do?
You can literally set up however you see fit. You can add steps. You can literally create a workflow. I call it a cadence, but you can create a workflow
I like the
where
word cadence. I like that.
yeah. So let's then use cadence. So in your cadence, you can say instant message this after 5 minutes this email at 1 p.m. and 7 minutes this email. Then after that is a call that goes on your task. Then you do a text message. Then text call, whatever. You can
Hmm.
set that you can, if you want, you can set 15 touch points in one day automatically with your
Hmm.
calls in between. So that's completely up to you. Whatever, however aggressive you want to be, you can set that up however you seem fit.
Right. Well, the first I found from my personal experience, and I think this is true from almost every moving company owner, if you don't, if that lead doesn't convert to to an opportunity,
Yeah.
right, within the first 3 days, that lead's lost. Right.
It's
That's
tough.
my.
Yeah, depends on it depends also on the moving date a little
Mhm.
bit. So if someone is moving 3+ months away and they get called by 15 different people 15 times a day, they'll just ignore absolutely everybody. They might pick up their first call
Mhm.
because the first call, but then when they realize that everybody else is calling them, they'll just postpone until it's closer
Well,
to the moving day. Yeah, yeah. But
right. I'm assuming
in
you have.
general, yeah.
So if I'm sending out text messages or something to get them in touch with me, or I could set thing, if they say, yeah, I'm going to set up an appointment. This is something I did not see in your CRM when you demonstrated it. Let's say
Yeah.
they get a text message or an email or some sort of automated resource. Can they go to my calendar and say, hey, talk to me and set a scheduled day for me to talk to them or schedule time? Let's say I get a text message. I go in and I go to a calendar because I don't have time to talk to you right now. Maybe I just got enough time to text you. I respond to that text. That could take me to a calendar. I could set up a time for tomorrow for me to call them. Can I do that?
You can you can set it up. We don't have a scheduling tool within the software for your appointments right
Oh,
now. But the thing is, that is when I say appointments, for example, you send someone a list of your availability
mm-hmm,
for the day, because that's a
mm-hmm.
completely different setup and different tool. You can do it. That's one tool that you can actually do like at $15 a month. You can use Calendly if you want to, or you can use Sumo app or whichever other scheduling tool you
Yeah,
like to have.
there's a bunch of them out there,
There's
and
and then you can incorporate the link for them to
mm,
pick and choose that's linked to your calendar. You can easily do that. So
yeah,
you can set it up, but at the moment, I personally, with all these tools available out there that are super cheap, I personally don't think it's worth the development right now for us because we will not see the return on the investment for 7 million years.
yeah. No, I get it. I that was just something that popped in my head. Okay, good. So
Yeah,
now it's an opportunity. I've got my sales guys. Tell me how much control does my sales guys or coordinators or move coordinators or whatever they want to be called, account managers or whatever, what
yeah.
kind of control do they have over that opportunity to get them estimated, booked, and a deposit?
Honestly, as much as you allow them to. It really depends on your system and your process. But with us, you can completely tweak who sees what in the system and who can interact with certain parts of that software. Meaning,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a new person coming in, they can have only view only, for example, of certain items. You can give people certain modify and create type of sections where you can completely tailor that your sales team can only see sales stuff, ops, just ops. You can have literally freedom is up to you. And then
Mm-hmm.
the estimate that goes out to that customer, they see it, they can click through it, they can see accept your terms and conditions, basically signing, get all that stuff, get the information back to you booked. We are integrated with Remedy Payments actually in terms of collecting deposits and money and all that stuff. So it goes directly to your bank account, to your company's bank account versus anywhere else. So you don't have to have any other specific tools for payment processing.
Right. Now, that was good. That answered one of the questions I was about ready to ask you. You got Remedy.
Yeah.
Can I integrate with like Authorized Net or Stripe or
Yeah, I
PayPal?
mean, at the moment we have Remedy, but if I see demand, Stripe is the easiest place to integrate because their documentation is phenomenal. So if someone prefers to use Stripe versus Remedy, we are able to organize and accommodate that. But at the moment, we just went with Remedy because it's the easiest. Because I like Alex a lot as well, CEO of Remedy, and then that way we're open to it. But at this particular time, when the demand comes up, we'll be able to solve it.
Yeah, you might have to introduce me to Alex from Remedy because I've never even heard of him. So I'd have to talk to him a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, I never heard of him.
I can introduce you. That's not a problem. I've known him for a couple of years now. I'll introduce you to him. He's a great guy. Don't tell him I said that.
Great.
He's gonna get. Don't tell him I said that. Don't tell him I said that. So
no, of course not. He's an asshole. I wouldn't done it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, that would be great. Awesome. Now, one of the things that I liked about your demonstration, and I actually saw this on your website, and I thought you had a really good website. Yeah, you'd be surprised at some of the websites I saw for CRMs that
my kid made
literally
it.
still based in the 90s. I'm like,
my 5-year-old made it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like the 90s called, and they want their CRM back. I mean, they're still using spreadsheets and stuff, which is fine. I mean, if that's all you got, that's all you got. But if you're selling a CRM, I don't want to see your CRM based on HTML or Excel worksheets.
I agree.
That doesn't make them less functional. It's a
confidence thing. It's a confidence thing. If you can't make your website look nice and neat, what is your software going to do for me
exactly? Yeah, if your website looks like it's from the 90s and you haven't updated it, and there's like, I certainly don't want somebody who doesn't know marketing and sales to be doing software about marketing and sales, right? It just, if you can't apply what you're selling, I don't want to have anything to do with you.
Yeah. I know nothing about sales and marketing, luckily. So the thing is, it's just gonna happen. So I'm excited, and I'm legitimately, the software that we're building is sorry. Generating moves, right? Versus because you fill the ops piece with something,
right?
To even have moves to perform. So that's what we're focusing on.
All right, cool. Let's actually move a little bit more into the entrepreneurial side from here. Okay, we've talked quite a bit about your website and stuff, and I mean, obviously, somebody could go to drivesales.com and schedule a demo with you, right?
Yeah.
And I encourage people to do that. So go and do that if you're interested in this thing. But let's talk to you about business. How's business doing? Is business booming? Is it a little soft right now?
So what's going on? So depending on my appetites, based off of my appetites, not depending on. Honestly, is it where I want it to be? No.
Okay.
Is it where I want it to be? No, because I'm very hungry, and I push that on to my team as well to be able to efficiently do everything we can. But is it where I want it to be? No. Is everything where I want it to be? No. Does that mean he's doing badly? No, as well. But just for my appetites, if you ask me, I would love to 500x, 500 at 5x, 500x tomorrow. But that's not possible, which is fine. So, dealing with the highs and lows, especially within the season, it's something to organize now that the paychecks are coming from me. They're not coming from anybody else's money. I don't have anybody else's funds to play around with. So I have to make sure that everything is in line. But we do, just to say this, we do a bunch of work from the video survey side for military corporate moves. So that way we have we have revenue streams that are helping us navigate through slower terms of the season and the sales as a service bit. So it's
Mhm.
not just a CRM play. So that's helping us get increased traction with some certain moving companies.
Great. Now, what are some of the biggest obstacles you've had so far in running your business that you've had to overcome?
So it's development. It's development because I'm not an engineer. I'm not a developer, right? So conveying how this industry of ours operates into very smooth, kind of like riding on a track type of thing that needs to be built was a challenge, and pushing on the understanding of the business logic of everything that is happening within the CRM to engineers to effectively create the software. That was one of my personal challenges because I don't necessarily understand and know all the technologies and how they operate and limitations of Python, React, C++, or any other language that's being used. So to be able to effectively give advice on how something should be done and built quicker, where I'm used to doing that with sales and operations and all that stuff. But this was a completely new avenue with me, how sprints work, how you have, depending on what type of setup are you using, agile, do you have scrum masters, do you use, what boards do you use for your roadmap development? So that for me specifically, the design piece of the software, that segment was very challenging. But honestly, understanding all of that made me more appreciative of the scope of what all has to be done to build any type of software. Honestly, not just a CRM, but any type of software. It's just if you do not have this is what I'll say, if you do not have a clear vision on what you want and how that should work, you will run in circles from here to infinity and then keep tweaking the same thing that you want to build and you'll get nowhere. So that is just some advice that I had to go through personally to get where I am. So
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, it takes a special kind of person to jump into a field that they have absolutely nothing, no knowledge on, and make a go of it. I mean, I did that with the moving business. I had really no professional experience, really. I never ran a business before. Um, I have helped build a business. I've done things. I study well, but doing something and studying something are two different animals, you know. So somebody who has the ability to go, you know what, I'm going to take this risk, I'm going to take this leap. That's a special kind of person to do that. And I think a lot of us movers, social, software developers, salespeople, that I mean, we're us entrepreneur mind. That's something we could that's bred in, that's something inside of us, innate. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
and
that's
I was
something.
lucky enough. I was lucky enough to have the backing of parents and some people around me in
Mm-hmm,
terms of pushing me to go and do something by myself from
mm-hmm,
very early on in my life.
mm-hmm,
I built a business in coffee shops here that I have absolutely, again, no knowledge of. And
mm-hmm.
I created a chain of 3 of them and I sold that business off ages ago while I was a professional football player. So that way I have some, and it just runs in the family type of thing. So because my father is an entrepreneur, my granddad, and all that good stuff. And I honestly didn't think I was cut from the same cloth when I was growing up, when I was young. I didn't think I was. I really didn't think I was. And then as I grew and kind of grasped a bunch of things in life, it kind of clicked one day for me specifically. But as I was growing up, I just thought, yeah, I'm more of a football player, and that's the end of it. I'll go in retirement as a football player, and I'll not do anything after that. So.
I find that, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. I find in people who are from your region, Eastern Europe, Europeans, and so on and so forth. They tend to be have a very high work ethic. They, whether they're entrepreneurial or not, they tend to, they're old school in the ways that America used to be famous for. I do you find that, because I'll tell you right now, the youth of America has increasingly and exponentially gotten softer and weaker, and to the point that they can't even tell whether they're a boy or girl anymore. And I just find that and that disease is spreading. Do you find that you guys are is the work
Yeah.
ethic there?
So there's a couple of things. So the resilience bit from this, let's say, this side of the world, of this region of the world, comes from, at least in the generation I'm from, kind of thing, is based off of what you kind of live through and experiences. So we didn't have all the capabilities when we were growing up that people in the States or Western Europe had, especially with the wars that happened, 91, the bombing in 99, the sanctions we've been under, the breaking up of Yugoslavia, if you're specifically from this region. You tend to become more resilient, and you also tend to be more appreciative of the chances that you get to do something. And if by luck, you end up doing what you enjoy at X work, X job, doesn't really matter. You'll go the extra mile to keep that, because some people, I'm not going to speak for everybody, obviously, but some people tend to remember when, including myself, when there wasn't any bread or flour in the shops and you had to struggle to find some. And then you had to find means to figure out how to get something on the table. I was a kid at that time still, but I remember my parents going through a bunch of things as I was growing up. And so I do believe there's a work ethic, but I also do think that with everything going on, it also depends on the newer generation and how the family is deeply rooted into their beliefs and what the family instills in the surrounding in them to become or hardworking or not. I know a bunch of people from this region though, so let's not get that twisted that everybody's hardworking. I'm not saying that, but I also just think that there is a higher likelihood that people that have gone through harder upbringing, whether that be in the States or Eastern Europe, that they tend to work harder because of what they didn't have. But that doesn't necessarily mean that people who had everything are more likely to not work as hard. So at the end of the day, I guess TLDR for everybody not going to watch this is it depends on the person and the circumstances around what they grew up and what was instilled in them by people around them.
Right. All right. So let's talk. Let's talk about now into some of the future, the future here about what do you see on the horizon there? That's in the future, software or developments, or things that's really going to change this industry, for you and for anybody else, actually.
I know this is going to be something that sound like very straightforward answer, but I think the usage of AI will drastically impact how moving companies and other brick and mortar businesses actually tend to their customers. So depending on how well you incorporate newer technologies, will give you an advantage versus people who don't. And if it's oh my God, I'm terrible with it, I can't deal with this, you better overcome that piece because you will be eaten by people who do enjoy pushing new stuff out. So I do think that AI and the developments in the vision, voice departments will be key to effective moving company or revenue stream generating down the line. I think that would be key.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually wrote the book on AI, right? I wrote a book called The AI Powered Millionaire, and it was just basically, it was a book. I wanted to use AI, Chat GPT and some of the other AI
Yeah.
models out there to write this book, because I wanted to know what it took to write a book, because I wrote two,
Yeah.
after that. So I wanted to find out what it took to write a book, and I didn't really have a subject to write about, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time writing this book without knowing the ins and outs. So I wrote a book called The AI Powered Millionaire, which can be found on Amazon today, and it's sold nearly 100 copies so far.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really good. So for me, I really saw the power of AI, because I used 99.9% of that book was written by AI. And then I used a little bit of my own personal head to like make some adjustments in the wording and spelling and punctuations and stuff like that, a little bit of editing. But I used AI to write the book. Just so I'm very familiar with AI. And I know that you could set up your a messenger, even a phone system. You can even do a phone system where you can have somebody, a salesperson or myself or yourself, actually interact with somebody on the phone based on their, just like a messenger bot. That's so if they go, hey, how much does it cost? AI on the phone can say, well, that's a great question. We actually have various different pricing points, and they will not know that they're talking to an AI versus talking to me personally, right? I see AI being able to develop software. So, I mean, it's not necessarily there now, but you could use AI to build code for your softwares, right? And
Yeah.
so on and so forth. And I really think that's going to be the way of the future. And, I mean, there's a lot of developments. We have smart cars, which,
Correct.
Tesla runs on AI. Google runs on AI, Alexa, uh, Siri, those are all AI models, right? And
Yeah.
so we've had AI for a long time now. And I really see now that Chat GPT about 2 years ago popped up and said, okay, let's get going, or a year ago now, actually, let's get
Yeah.
going. I really see that there's a whole new thing. So I definitely agree with you that that's something that's going to be important for us in the future.
Yeah. If you don't adapt, others will, and that will impact your bottom line. It's
Right.
pretty simple, I would say.
Right.
Yeah, I actually want to ask you.
Yep.
Why did you decide to write a book? Why did you oh, I'm gonna write a book? Did you wake up one day like, oh, I feel like writing a book. Let me see what that's about.
That's a great question. No one's ever asked me. One, I've always wanted to write a book. Two, I have no family. I don't have any kids. I have an ex-wife that's in Scientology. She's like bonkers. So I have no legacy. So I wanted to have something that's going to be around, and I write a book, I sell a book, or give a book away. Books, for the most part, don't get thrown away unless they're exorbitantly damaged or something. Rarely will somebody throw a book away. So if I write a book, even if it's about moving, that book, if the guy doesn't want the book, they're going to give it away, right? So it creates an everlasting legacy, right? And who knows? In 100 years from now, someone's going to see one of my books, and they're gonna go, "Wow, I read that book long ago, and my grandpa really read that book and started a moving business, and now he's, this is our legacy." And now, so there's a lot of books like that. There's books like children's books. There's business books, how-to books, that people have written, and you go, "Wow, I saw that book long ago, and it was a big thing." And that book's going to be around forever and ever and ever, while the book lasts, and people don't throw away books. It's just something about a book that, it's like, that's ingrained and instilled in us, that thing. So that's one reason. That's my conscience reason. Two, I wanted to do something different than everybody else in the industry. Who else do you know that's written a book? You know what I mean? Right? There's everybody wants to, there's a statistic, and the statistic, if I could correctly quote the statistics, please forgive me. I think there's like 75% of everybody on the planet wants to write a book, right? But only like 0.00001% of them actually ever do. So now these two books that I've written, Save Money Moving and How Much Do Movers Cost and Other Moving Facts, I wrote those books. Those are not AI. I used a little AI to kind of correct and to do some research for me, but I wrote the books, right? And then nice. I went to Fiverr, had the covers made. I had somebody format the books for me, and then I uploaded it to Amazon, and so now I have a thing, and I've written ebooks, right? And I've sold ebooks. I've got one of my best-selling ebooks is Who Sells Moving Insurance, and that's literally I've sold over $10,000 worth of that ebook.
Nice.
And so, but it's not a real book until it's been on Amazon, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
So, and I'll tell you this right now. There was a guy in my town here that wanted to start a moving business. And I said, that's awesome. And he came to me, saw my YouTube channels, came to me and found out where I lived and so called me up, said, hey, can you help me? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to help you. And I agreed to help him at cost, right? No profit, no nothing. So he just had to pay for the materials. And what we did, instead of sending out postcards, because he didn't have money to send out postcards, is I had 25 books, right? And I had 25 books. I said, instead of postcards, we're gonna go knock on doors, do some door knocking, and cold calling. I call it cold call. Others call it door knocking. And then we're gonna pick an area here in the local area, and you and I are gonna go, and I'm gonna show you how to do some cold calling to get business. Out of the 25 books, we found an area where there was 25 homes for sale. We went to each one of those homes. Only 5 people were available, right? We did the thing. I introduced myself. I introduced this other guy. I handed him a book, and I said, hey, if you got any questions about moving, give us a call. We'll help you out with moving. And then anybody else that we didn't talk to personally, I sent them the book in the mail. Just stuck it in a little envelope, a little padded envelope, and you can here in the States, they have this thing called media mail. So it's very, very cheap to send a book. It's a little bit, you can't send it in an envelope, a regular envelope, so it costs more. And it's about 7 ounces. So nice. You can send it media mail, and it's very, very cheap. It costs us like $2 to $3 a book. But out of those 25 books that we've distributed, every single one of those people booked. Every single one. One for one. Not one person went with another company. And that was because we had the books. And it's instead of getting these postcards, I don't knock postcards. I love postcards. But if you look at most of the postcards all say the same thing, right? We're the best movers in the world. Well, if everybody's the best mover in the world, nobody's the best mover in the world, right? Yeah. And if you go, hey, we got low rates, and the next guy says we got low rates, and we're licensed and insured, and the next guy says, then the only thing that they can compare you to is how much you charge.
Price.
Right. So I don't want to be that guy that creates that price war that is a dwindling spiral to hell, right? Because everybody's got to lower their prices then. And then it just becomes, well, I lower my prices, and then XYZ lowers their prices, ABC lowers their prices, LMNOP lowers their prices, and then I lower my prices again, which creates another cascade of the dwindling spiral. And that helps nobody. that doesn't help any. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help any of those other companies. So how do I set myself apart? I wrote the books.
Yeah.
So, and
I like it. I like it.
And one of the books I plan to do is I'm going to take the challenge I do, and I'm probably going to turn that into a book. So I'm going to keep, I'm going to turn that into a book, like day one, blah, blah, blah. And then, so eventually I'll have a bigger but more substantial book. Another thing about these books is these books can literally be read in an hour. They're like 100 to 120 pages. You can literally read the book in an hour, and you don't even need to read the whole book because every chapter is a separate chapter. So it answers like this one, the one about moving facts. If the question doesn't need, you can just go to that chapter and read that chapter, and it'll answer your question.
Nice. So, nice. I like that.
So you should write a book.
Probably should, but probably won't. So probably won't. Maybe when I turn this into $100 million business, then I'll consider it.
Yeah, that's up to you. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm like I said earlier. I want to use the Alex Hormozi method to do in my web. That's one was it's kind of a personal question. Wanted to see if you could do it, and two, I wanted to know for myself because I'm going to probably need software eventually. When I start the challenge, so I wanted to go. Okay, good. So I'm doing a little shopping myself, personally. But yeah. Thanks for asking me a question. You got any other questions?
No problem. At the moment, we'll add as we go. But I'm genuinely curious. Then the second question, I guess, why did you jump into moving when you had no idea about running a company or anything like that? You mentioned earlier in our conversation.
Oh, another great. Actually, it fell into my lap. I had just moved back from California. I was living with my dad. I had some money saved up. Right, I had several $1,000s. And my dad said, "Hey, come live with me. That way you can find an apartment, get yourself a job, and set up before you move on." So I was doing that, and I found a job, and for a moving company. The guy turned out to be a road mover, and he wasn't paying me. But I was noticing how he was getting his jobs and how much he was charging for his jobs. I'd only worked for him for a couple of weeks, but he hadn't paid me in 3 weeks. I was like, this is bullshit. So I started doing side jobs, and he eventually caught me and then never called me back for work. And I'm like, fine, whatever. I was making more money doing my side job anyway, because the guy wasn't paying me. Right. So since he just decided never to call me again and never pay me, like the scumbag he is, I was like, no problem. So I decided to do what I was doing, which was moving helper. That's where I started, moving helper and hire helper. I started doing those, and I quickly realized I needed to raise prices. And so I raised my prices up to a point. My first couple of jobs that I had to get a bunch of friends, some poker buddies that I knew, and we went, did the jobs, and I paid them very handsomely for it. And eventually that turned into a thing. And then I started that business in 2008, mind you. Now, 2008 in the States was the Great Recession.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm in Michigan. So I'm in the hardest hit country, at the hardest hit state in the country. And I start my business, and I took my business from nothing. Is in July to December, I made $60,000. So
nice.
Gross profit.
That is nice.
Which it was all labor, and it was a labor only. So I didn't have trucks and stuff. I wasn't insured. I didn't do any of that proper stuff. So minus my payroll, I brought home like nearly $40,000 for myself. So, so I was like, wow, I'm going to continue it. So I went to next year. I made $100,000. The year after that, I was up to $250,000. Then, 15 years later, I was grossing $1 million, or nearly. I shouldn't say $1 million, nearly $1 million. I was just south of $1 million, and hence the name Seven Figure Moving Academy. So,
yeah, nice.
My purpose was to take somebody brand new like me, take them from nothing to up to the level I was up. And then from there, there's other people that can take them to the next level.
Nice. I like that.
With that?
I said, I like that. I like that.
So, and then with this new challenge, my goal, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but my goal would be to, once I got it going, I've got it systemized, I got it running like a fairly well-oiled machine. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to offer a franchise. So basically a very affordable franchise for somebody, just a few $1,000s. I'll run their website. I'll run their, all their marketing thing. The only thing they're going to have to do for themselves will be doing the jobs and, maybe some of the estimates and hiring people. So
that's not bad. I like that idea. Cool.
Now what's in it? What's the future look like for you? What's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road for you?
5 years, we're the biggest player in logistics in terms of software and service, not just moving, in logistics. So
okay,
that's the plan. Yeah,
there's a couple of big players out there that's got some money backing and stuff. So you've got
a lot of money. A lot of money.
Yeah. And experience. So that said, I think the bar is kind of low for you to actually hit that goal.
The thing is, I don't mind competition at all. I've been super competitive my entire life. So
you're a professional soccer player, for crying out loud. Yeah. Of course you're competitive.
Yeah. I don't mind the competition. That just means there's demand. And if no one has solved the problem, there will always be a new Amazon, new Tesla, new Uber, whatever. There was taxis before Uber. There still are. So I think there's room for disruption, and there's room for everybody to also actually make money. It doesn't have to be, you have Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they all coexist, even though they do, separate things, or NVIDIA. You pick your poison, right? From there, who you want to compare with. So that's the goal. And competition doesn't specifically faze me at all, or the money raised. Previous company, I helped raise 18 and 15 million respectively. So I don't necessarily mind or care about competition. I know what they do, how they look. I'm aware of them, but that doesn't specifically phase or influence me in my decision making what we should be doing next.
Okay, good. All right, good. So I think you've answered pretty much all my questions. Let me just say, if somebody wants to find you and talk to you and consult with you, or even get a demo with you, if for your software, how do they find you? What is the where social media, website, what?
Yeah, so social media, you can go on LinkedIn. You can find Milovan Milosevic on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook as well now. I didn't used to have Facebook, but I do now. So you have Facebook. You can find me on the website, drivesales.com. Schedule a demo, and I'll be more than happy to show you what we got. So there's 3 easy ways or in Facebook groups like AI Movers group that you mentioned, or other groups, you'll be able to find me, and that way we can discuss and have a chat and see if we're able to help. If we're not, if nothing else, we met, and then maybe down the line we'll be able to help. That's it.
Well, Milo, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. Stick around after we end the recording here, and we can say our final goodbyes. But man, I really do appreciate you coming on. Thank you for showing me off camera your demo. I wish you would have shown me on camera, but hey, it is what it is. I'm trying to make you feel bad here on camera on the podcast.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. My heart bleeds a little bit, but I'll get over it. I'll get over it a little bit.
Okay. All right, friend. Thank you so much, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and go talk to Milo and check him out. Check out his stuff. I think he's got good stuff. I'm going there. I'm definitely, when I'm ready for it, he's definitely going to be a guy I'm going to call. Guys, I like you. I love you. Thank you very much. Go and do something great today.